morning students. In the last class we discussed a series and parallel combination of cells and also mixed grouping of cells. In this class we are going to discuss some problems related to the cells combinations. First problem, two cells A and B, each of EMF 2 volts, two cells A and B, each of EMF say E1, E2 is equals to 2 volts, are connected in series to an external resistance of 1 ohm, that is a capital R is 1 ohm, external resistance value 1 ohm and then find out. So, the question is find out the potential drop across the terminals of cell A. So, let me draw the circuit so you can understand. So, this is the circuit given. These are the two cells of EMF 2 volts each and their internal resistance are also given. First one 1.9 ohm, second one internal resistance 0.9 ohm, and these two cells are connected in series and connected to an external resistance of 1 ohm. Now, the question is find out the potential drop across the terminals of first cell, that is cell A. So, this potential drop we have to find. This is cell A and this is cell B. That is the question. Now, for finding that potential drop across the terminals of a first cell, we need to find the total current in the circuit. So, let I is the total current in the circuit. So, that I value is given by effective EMF of the circuit divided by effective resistance of the circuit. So, total EMF divided by total resistance of the circuit. So, we know that the series combination of two identical cells, that is E equivalent is equals to E1 plus E2, both are having same EMF. So, there is 2 plus 2 will get 4 volts, which is equivalent EMF value. At the same time, total resistance of the circuit, there are 3 resistors here. One is the internal resistance of cell 1 and the second one is the internal resistance of cell 2, that is 0.9 ohm, and also one external resistor of 1 ohm. So, now total resistance of the circuit, because all of them are in series, that is given by 1 plus 1.9 plus 0.9, which will give you 3.8 ohm. So, this is the total resistance of the circuit. Now, total current in the circuit I is equal to EMF 4 volts and resistance is 3.8. So, that is 4 divided by 3.8 amperes is the total current. Now, after finding the current, we have to find the potential drop across the terminals of cell A, that is for the cell A, if I take the cell equation V is equal to terminal potential drop between the two terminals, V is equals to E1 minus I into R1, that is E1 value 2 volts, I value 4 divided by 3.8 into R1 value 1.9. So, simplifying this you will get 2 minus 2, which will be 0 volts. So, that is the required answer for this problem. So, similarly you can also find the potential drop across the terminals of the second cell also by using V is equal to E2 minus I into R, because the I value is determined. So, you can substitute E2 I value and R2 value, you can also find the terminal potential difference across the second cell also. This is one method related to the series combination of cells. And next problem is two identical cells which are connected in series to an external resistor like this. Let me draw the circuit first. Two identical cells which are connected in series to an external resistor of resistance R ohm. So, both are identical cells, they are having same EMF and same internal resistance, and then the same cells are connected in parallel, same two cells are connected in parallel to the same resistor. So, it is found that current in both the cases is same. It is found that current in both the cases is same, then determine the internal resistance of each cell given in the circuit. So, this is the question. So, here there are two identical cells of EMFs E and internal resistance R, and which are connected in series with a external resistor R in the first case. Here say current is I1 and the same cells are again connected in parallel with the same the external resistor. In this case current is I2. Now, it is given that both the currents are equal, in both the cases current is equal, then what is the value of internal resistance of each cell given in the problem. So, that is the question. Now, let us solve it. So, here in the first case let us find out the current. So, we know that effective EMF of two cells series combination is, so that is E equivalent in this case is E plus E 2E and total resistance. So, effective internal resistance is R plus R 2R. So, here R equivalent is equals to 2R and external resistance value is given. So, now current in the circuit I is equals to total EMF 2E divided by total resistance R capital R plus 2 small r. This is current in first case, that is when they are connected in series with the capital R. Similarly, find out the current in the second case. So, where the two cells are connected in parallel and remember they are identical cells. So, when two identical cells are connected in parallel, the effective EMF value is equal to EMF of one cell, then effective internal resistance is equals to R by 2 because the two are connected in parallel, two identical resistors are connected in parallel in this case. So, small r by 2 and then external resistor is given. Therefore, current in the circuit in the second case is total EMF divided by total resistance capital R plus small r divided by 2. So, simplifying this you can get 2 E divided by 2 capital R plus small r. So, this is the current in the second case. So, given both the currents are same, now equating both you can find out the value of small r, that is the remaining part. So, now let us equate, let us apply the given condition. So, given I1 is equal to I2 which will be 2E divided by R plus 2R, that is equals to 2E divided by 2 capital R plus small r. So, this will cancel. Solving this for small r, you will get small r is equal to capital R. So, this is the condition for having same current in both the cases of series and a parallel combination of two identical cells with one external resistor capital R. So, this is the problem. Now, let us move on to our next topic in the chapter, that is Kirchhoff's laws, which is very important. Now, let us start Kirchhoff's laws. So, next topic is Kirchhoff's laws. So far we studied Ohm's law. So, this Ohm's law provides us the way to solve simple electrical circuits like circuit having one cell and some simple combinations of resistors. So, that circuits you can solve by using Ohm's law easily, but if the circuit is having more than one cell or more than two cells, so in such circuits it is very difficult to find the current values and the potential difference values in the circuit by using Ohm's law. So, in such complicated circuits, so instead of using only Ohm's law, we can also use these laws which are known as Kirchhoff's laws. In 1947, Kirchhoff proposed these laws to solve the difficult or complicated electrical circuits, and these laws are known as Kirchhoff's laws, and they are based on two important laws, two important conservation laws. They are conservation of electric charge and conservation of energy. So, let us discuss one by one. The first law is Kirchhoff's current law. Kirchhoff's current law, simply you can say, you can also call it as a junction rule. And in shortcut you can call it as KCL, Kirchhoff's current law, KCL, or you can also call it as junction rule. So, according to Kirchhoff's junction rule or current law, so at a in a given electrical circuit at any junction, in a given electrical circuit at any junction, the sum of currents approaching the junction always equal to the sum of currents leaving the junction. So, let me take one example for understanding this. So, let us say there are 3 resistors, say R1 which is carrying a current of I1, next second resistor R2 through which current is I2 amperes, and then another resistor say R3 carrying a current of I3, like this. Now, let these 3 are connected together, and again there are 4 more resistors connected like this. So, this is the circuit. So, here there are 3 currents I1, I2 and I3, and this is the junction where all the currents are meeting, and further they are dividing into 4 different values. Say this is R4, and this is R5, and this is R6 and R7. So, their currents are I4, I5, I6, I7 respectively. So, like this there are 4 currents. So, according to Kirchhoff's current law, the sum of electrical currents approaching a junction, this is the junction, this is the junction, the sum of electrical currents which are approaching the junction must be always equal to the sum of currents which are leaving away from the junction, which are leaving the junction. So, here there are 3 currents which are entering the junction, that are I1 plus I2 plus I3. This is the total current which is approaching the junction, and that must be equal to the sum of currents which are leaving the junction, that is I4, I5, I6, I7. So, I have to take I4 plus I5 plus I6 plus I7. So, this is the meaning of Kirchhoff's junction rule. According to this rule, there is no accumulation of charge at any junction. That is why whatever the charge that is entering the junction per second must be equal to the total charge leaving the junction per second. That is what the conservation of charge in this case. So, here there is no accumulation of charge at any corner of the circuit or at any junction of the circuit. So, total charge entering per second must be equal to the total charge leaving per second. That is what this equation indicates. So, you can also write this equation in another form, that is I1 plus I2 plus I3, taking all those terms to this side, you will get minus of I5 plus I6, I7 and I4. This must be equal to 0. You can say simply the algebraic sum of all the currents at a junction is always equal to 0 in a electrical circuit. So, this is the another way of defining Kirchhoff's junction rule, that is algebraic sum of electrical currents at any junction is always equal to 0. Remember, when taking this one, you have to take the currents approaching the junction positive, the currents leaving the junction negative, then if you add all of them you will get a 0 at that junction. That is what Kirchhoff's current law, or you can also call it as junction rule. Now, let us discuss some examples to understand this junction rule more clearly. So, first example, so a network of currents is given like this. Example 1, this is a given network where 12 amperes entering this junction, 8 amperes in this direction, and here 5 amperes, and this current is 2 amperes away from the junction, and the question is what is this I value. So, if all the currents are given like this, 12 amperes entering this junction, and there 8 amperes moving in this direction, and again here 5 amperes current is given, and here 2 amperes current is given, and then I value. So, what is I value in the given networks? That is the question. So, when doing this kind of problems, just start from any one junction. Now, let us start from this junction. So, here 12 amperes current is coming. So, we know the sum of currents approaching the junction must be equal to sum of currents leaving the junction. So, here 12 amperes is approaching this junction, out of which 8 amperes moving in this direction. So, this must be 4 amperes, because this 8 plus 4 must be equal. So, 8 plus this current must be equal to 12 amperes. So, this current value must be 4 amperes. Now, let us take this junction. So, here 8 amperes current is approaching this junction and 5 amperes also approaching this junction. So, this current which is moving away from the junction must be equal to 8 plus 5, that is 13 amperes. Similarly, take this junction. So, where 4 amperes current is approaching the junction and then 2 amperes moving away from the junction, then this current must be, so here 4 and this value must be, if you add this value and this, suppose if this is unknown value, 2 plus I must be equal to 4, then you will get I value as 2 amperes. Okay, this I value as 2 amperes. Now, our requirement is this I value. So, the current which is moving away from this junction we have to find. Now, again applying a junction rule for this particular junction, 13 amperes and 2 amperes both are approaching this junction, 13 plus 2, that is equals to 15 amperes, which is required answer for this problem. So, this is one important method in Kirchhoff's junction rule. Now, one more example let us discuss. Example 2. So, the current network is given like this. So, here 5 amperes, here 3 amperes and this current I value have to find. So, this I value have to find. So, this is a given network. So, here 5 amperes, 3 amperes. So, first let us start with this junction, 5 amperes and 3 amperes approaching this junction. So, this current away from the junction must be equal to 5 plus 3, that is 8 amperes. This value is 8 amperes. Now, this 8 amperes is approaching this junction where 2 amperes is moving away from the junction. So, this current must be 8 minus 2, that is 6 amperes. So, this is another example related to junction rule. Remember, the total current which is entering the junction must be equal to the total current which is leaving the junction. So, if you apply that equation for each junction, you can get the unknown value of current in the given network. So, these are the two problems. Now, let us move on to the second Kirchhoff's law, that is Kirchhoff's voltage law. Kirchhoff's voltage law. Can also call it as loop rule. Kirchhoff's voltage law is also known as loop rule. In short form, we can call it as KVL, Kirchhoff's voltage law. So, according to Kirchhoff's voltage law, in an electrical circuit, in any loop, in any closed loop, the algebraic sum of potential differences and EMFs always equal to 0. So, the mathematically can represent this law as, it is summation I into R, that is a algebraic sum of all potential differences plus the summation of EMFs always equal to 0 in any loop in the given electrical circuit. Now, let me explain this by taking one example. So, remember, when you are using this Kirchhoff's voltage law, we need to follow some sign conventions. So, now let us take one example to understand sign conventions and what is meant by loop actually. So, let us see by taking an example. So, let us take one simple circuit. So, first the circuit is having two resistors R1 and R2 which are connected in series to a battery of EMF and internal resistance say small r. So, this is the circuit, this is small r and EMF E and resistors R1 and R2, this is the circuit. So, first find the current direction. So, always current starts from positive terminal of the battery. So, this is the current in the circuit and this is current flow in each resistor, because they are in series, current is same in each resistor. Now, so according to Kirchhoff's voltage law, the algebraic sum of potential drops and EMFs in a loop is always 0. First, let me tell you what is loop. So, just give some labels here. So, there is A, this is B and then C and D. Now, loop means you can select two types of loops here, that means two ways, two ways of selecting the loop. One is I can select a clockwise loop or anti-clockwise loop. So, if I select the clockwise loop like this, so if I start from A, so it must be A to B, B to C, C to D, again D to A. So, this is what we call one loop. So, if you select anti-clockwise loop, it will be A, D, C, B, A. So, like this. So, you have to start from a point and again you have to end with the same point, then you can call it as one loop. Now, after selecting this loop, so we need to take the sum of potential drops and EMFs in the circuit, that value must be equal to 0. Now, taking that summation, you have to be very careful which is to be taken as positive, which is to be taken as negative. So, for that we need to follow some sign conventions, that is a very important thing. Remember here I selected a clockwise loop, I can also select an anti-clockwise loop, that is A, D, C, B, A. CBA. So, like this any loop we can select, but you have to follow proper sign conventions, that is very important here. Now, let us see how to take the values, that is sign conventions. So, here two things are there, there is a potential difference and EMF. First one, let me take one example separately. So, if this is the resistor, so this is the current direction in the resistor. Now, when I select the loop, if I am moving from this end, that is end A to B. So, in a resistor I selected a loop. So, then in if I move from A to B, that means if I move in the direction of current, then the potential drop of the resistor to be taken as negative value. So, in the direction of current the potential drop must be taken as negative value. If you select the loop, so like you are moving in the direction opposite to the current direction, you have to take the potential drop as positive value. Now, let me explain it more clearly. Now, let us discuss sign convention rules. Sign conventions while using Kirchhoff's rules, Kirchhoff's laws in an electrical circuit. The first rule, I already told you this. So, when current entering a junction, junction to be taken as positive, and current leaving the junction to be taken as negative. So, this we already discussed in case of junction rule. So, otherwise you can take sum of incoming current, the sum of currents approaching the junction must be equal to sum of currents leaving the junction. So, then you can get the required equation for junction rule. Now, for second one, that is Kirchhoff's voltage law, there are 4 things you have to remember. So, first thing, the potential drop or potential difference across a resistor, to be taken as negative if one moves in the direction of current. That means if this is the resistor, negative in the direction of current, remember, in the direction of current. That means if this is the resistor of resistance R carrying a current I, then the potential drop across this is IR. Now, if I select the loop such that I am moving from left to right, that means in the direction of current, this value to be taken as negative. So, here I told you there are 2 ways of selecting the loop, clockwise selection of loop and anti-clockwise selection of loop. Now, if I select the loop such that I am moving from moving in the direction of current, means along the direction of current, if I select the loop, then the potential drop across a resistor to be taken as a negative value, that is minus IR. That is first rule. Similarly, if you select the loop such that you are moving opposite to the current direction, then you have to take that potential drop as positive. So, that is the second one. So, here potential drop across a resistor to be taken as a negative if one selects the loop in the direction of current. That means if I move from left to right, I am moving from I am moving in the direction of current. So, the potential drop across this resistor must be taken as a negative value. So, there is minus IR. Now, if I move in opposite direction, I should take it as positive value, that is first sign convention about the Kirchhoff's voltage law. Let me write up the rules here. So, if one moves in the direction of current like this, so this value of potential difference, say A to B, if I move from A to B that is in the direction of current, potential drop is minus IR I have to take in equation of that Kirchhoff's voltage law. Next, if the same resistor I am moving from B to A, so current is moving from A to B, but I am moving from B to A, means I am moving in opposite direction, so that this value must be taken as positive. These are two sign conventions for potential difference. Now, let us see the sign convention for taking EMF of a cell. So, here let us say this is the cell of EMF E, cell of EMF E, so plus and minus. Now, let us say we selected the loops like we are moving from positive to negative. So, we selected a loop, so like that we are moving from positive to negative, that means A to B. If I select this particular cell moving from A to B, the EMF of the cell to be taken as minus E, because positive to negative terminal. So, high potential to low potential we have to take negative EMF. Suppose if you select the loop moving from B to A, means in the opposite direction, if you select EMF to be taken as positive. So, remember two things here, when you select a cell like you are moving from high potential terminal to low potential terminal, consider that EMF has a negative value in the equation. If you are selecting the loop such that you are moving from negative to positive, that means low potential to high potential, then consider that EMF has positive value. So, these are four sign conventions for applying Kirchhoff's rules. First one is junction rule. So, incoming, that is currents approaching a junction, take a positive, currents leaving a junction, take a negative. At the same time, potential drop in the direction of current, take it as negative, potential drop in the direction opposite to current, take positive. Now, cell EMF when moving from high to low potential, take a negative, low to high potential, take it as positive. So, these are the sign conventions. Now, let us apply these sign conventions for that circuit which I told you earlier. So, that circuit is having a cell with internal resistance R, EMF E, and there are two resistors. So, let us say this is the loop. So, first select a clockwise loop, and then we can also check it for anti-clockwise loop. Now, let us see for clockwise loop. So, that is this is the loop direction. So, here current direction always starts from positive, remember. So, this is current direction which is same in both the resistors like this. Now, let us select a loop in clockwise direction A, B, C, D, A. A, B, C, D, A is the loop that I selected in clockwise direction. Now, let us start from A. So, from A to B there is no resistors. Next, B to C, there are two resistors. Remember, when moving from B to C, I am moving in the direction of current. So, I am moving in the direction of current, so that the potential drop across each resistor to be taken as negative value. That means, this potential drop is minus I into R1. Again, for the second resistor also in the direction of current we selected, so it is minus I into R2. Next, C to D there is no resistors, leave it. Next, D to A there is one internal resistance where current is I ampere once again. So, this potential drop also minus I into smaller, because we are moving from D to A, current is also in the same direction. So, we are moving in the direction of current. So, this value to be taken as negative once again, minus I into smaller. Next, coming to the cell, see here we are moving from low potential terminal to high potential terminal, that is a negative to positive. So, we have to consider the EMF of cell as a positive. So, there is plus E, that is equal to 0. Now, you can take this equation as E is equals to, so sending all these negative terms to that side, you will get I into R1 plus R2 plus smaller. So, from this you can find out the total current in the circuit. That is how we can use Kirchhoff's voltage law for this loop A, B, C, D, A, which I selected in clockwise direction. Now, let us see what if we select in anti-clockwise direction for the same circuit. Now, let me select the loop A. So, I am changing the loop direction now. So, anti-clockwise direction loop I selected. So, now A, D, C, B, A. Let us see what will happen. Now, A to D. So, A to D, there are two components here, one is cell and other one is internal resistance. Now, A to D. So, now here when moving from A to D in selecting the loop, so here we are moving from positive to negative terminal. So, that means high potential to low potential. So, I have to take that EMF as a negative. Next, here for this internal resistance we are moving in the direction opposite to current. See, current is in this direction and then we are moving in opposite direction of current for this resistor. So, we have to consider that potential drop as positive. So, I into small r. Similarly, here there is no resistor. For these two resistors also we are moving A, D, C, B, A, means C to B we selected, current is in opposite direction. So, we have to take both these potential drops as positive values, that is plus IR1 plus IR2. So, that is once again will give you same result, which is I into R1 plus R2 plus small r. So, this is the result. So, which is same as the previous equation. So, here selection of loop either clockwise or anti-clockwise you can take, but you have to be very careful with the sign conventions for the potential drops and EMFs in the given loop. So, this is a simple loop. Now, let us take the loop with two cells. Now, let us take one loop with two cells, then let us see how to write the loop equations. So, let us take another example for the Kirchhoff's voltage law and writing the loop equations. So, let us see the circuit having two cells, one is of EMF E1 and its internal resistance R1, and there are three resistors like this, that this is R1. So, here one more resistor R3. This is the circuit with the two cells now, with the two cells and three resistors. This is R1, this is R2 resistor and this is R3 resistor. Now, let us see how to apply Kirchhoff's laws for this particular circuit. First, let us take the current direction. So, remember always large cell EMF of cell of large EMF will decide the current direction. Now, let us say this is the large cell, that is E1, EMF of first cell is greater than EMF of second one. So, I can take current direction starting from here, say I1 is the current, then this current is flowing through R1 and then here at this junction it will split into two values. So, here this current through R2 is I2 and current through R3 is I3, and again this current is flowing in this direction, at this junction again they will meet and becomes I1. So, this is current direction. So, like this you have to take current direction first. Now, you can let us see how many number of loops are there and how many junctions are there. First, this is the junction you can take. So, we can apply junction rule at that junction. So, now let us assign some symbols A, B, C, D, E, F. So, this is the circuit. Now, at this junction first let us apply junction rule. So, at junction C we can apply junction rule where in the current approaching the junction is I1, current leaving the junction are I2 and I3. So, I can take I1 is equal to I2 plus I3. This is one equation. And next, take this loop. So, there are three loops here. Let me write one by one. So, A, B, C, F, A. A, B, C, E, F, A is one loop. Next, C, D, E, F, C. C, D, E, F, C is another loop. Similarly, A, B, C, D, E, F, A, that means the outer loop, that is A, B, C, D, E, F, A. So, like this. So, these are three loops. So, there are three loops, you can take three equations. So, total you have four number of equations using Kirchhoff's laws, that is one equation from junction rule, and there are three equations from the Kirchhoff's voltage law. So, here you can solve all the equations and you can find out unknown values in the given circuit. Okay, that is what the Kirchhoff's laws and solving the problem. So, you can take a number of equations by taking number of loops and junctions in the circuit, and solving them you can find out unknown value of current or unknown value of resistance values and unknown value of resistance and EMF values. That is the method of solving problem using Kirchhoff's laws. Now, let us see how to write loop equations for two loops in this circuit. Now, let us take this loop. So, A, B, C, F, A, that is the first loop I selected. So, I am selecting clockwise loop. So, now A, start with A. So, A to B there is no resistor. Now, B to C we are moving in the direction of current. So, this potential drop across R1 to be taken as negative. So, minus I1 R1. Next C to F, A, B, C, F, A is the loop. So, here C to F there is another resistor R3 where current is I3. So, we are selecting in the direction of current. So, again it is to be taken as negative minus I3 R3. Similarly, F to A also we are moving in the direction of current. So, this potential drop to be taken as negative. So, minus I1 into small r1. Now, for the cell we are moving from negative to positive, that means low potential to high potential terminal. So, it should be taken as positive, that is E1 is equal to 0, like this. So, this is the loop equation for the loop A, B, C, F, A. Similarly, you can write the loop equation for C, D, E, F, C. So, remember you can start from any point and you can take the loop equation according to your selection, that is very important. So, remember when you are taking the equation you should be very careful about the sign conventions. So, if you make any one mistake while taking sign convention, the total equation becomes wrong and you will get a wrong answer. So, be very careful while taking sign conventions. So, now let us use these Kirchhoff's laws in understanding the very important network, that is a Wheatstone bridge network. So, you try to write the loop equations for other remaining loops, that is a C, D, E, F, C and A. So, that is A, B, C, D, E, F, A, that is the main loop, that is outer loop. So, try to write the loop equations for the remaining two. So, you will get some practice. Now, let us start the next concept, Wheatstone bridge. Next topic is Wheatstone bridge. It is a network with 4 resistors and it was devised by a scientist called Christie, and it was popularized by the scientist Wheatstone, that is why it is popularly known as Wheatstone bridge, and it consists of 4 resistors. We can find out one resistor value in terms of the other. So, that is what the Wheatstone bridge use, and later on we will discuss the applications of Wheatstone bridge. Now, let us see the circuit of a Wheatstone bridge. So, it contains 4 resistors. So, the 4 resistors, say P, Q, R, S are the 4 resistors. Now, this terminals A, this is B and this is C and D. So, across the terminals A and C, a battery of EMF E is connected. Battery of EMF E is connected, and then a plug key, and then across B and D a galvanometer of resistance capital G is connected between the terminals B and D. So, this is the circuit of a Wheatstone bridge, where there are 4 resistors connected as shown in this figure. Now, across A and C a battery is connected, across B and D a galvanometer is connected. Now, let me tell you what is galvanometer. So, galvanometer is a device which is used to galvanometer is a device which is used to find which is used to detect very small currents of the order of 10 to the power of minus 9 amperes. Very small currents also can be detected by this galvanometer. It is a very sensitive instrument and it works based on the torque acting on a coil in a magnetic field, in a uniform magnetic field. So that you will study in the magnetism chapter. For now, just keep in mind, galvanometer is a device used to detect the current in the circuit, means very small values of current in the circuit of the order of 10 to the power of minus 9 ampere. So here the galvanometer is connected between the points B and D, and here capital G is the galvanometer resistance. Galvanometer resistance. Galvanometer resistance is capital G. Now this capital G is the resistance due to the wire that is taken for that is coil resistance, because every material will have resistance. There will be a coil inside the galvanometer. So that coil resistance will be equal to the galvanometer resistance value. So that is the circuit. Now let us see how to use these Kirchhoff's laws in finding the balancing condition of this particular Wheatstone bridge network. So first let us assign the current directions in each part of the circuit. So let current is starts from the positive terminal of the battery. There is total current. Now this total current at the junction A, it will split into currents I1 through resistor P and I2 through resistor R, and at this junction this I1 splits into two currents, that is one current flows through the galvanometer and other current flows through the resistor Q, which is I3. Next this Ig and I2 are towards this junction, so where they will become the current I4. So this Ig plus I2 will be equal to I4, where I3 and I4 becomes again total current. So this is current direction in the circuit. Now let us select the junctions and loops, and let us see how to apply Kirchhoff's rules for finding the balancing condition of Wheatstone bridge. First let us apply junction rule at the junctions B and D. So let me write the equations at junction B. At junction B, the current towards the junction is I1 and the currents away from the junction are I3 and Ig. So I can take I1 is equal to I3 plus Ig. This is equation number 1. Similarly, there is another junction, that is junction D. At this junction D, so the currents which are towards the junction are I2 and Ig. So I2 plus Ig is equal to I4. This is the equation number 2. So we applied junction rule for the two junctions. Now let us use Kirchhoff's voltage law for some loops in the given circuit. So first let us select the loop. So let me select the loop A, B, C. So this is A, B, this is point D and A. So first loop is A, B, D, A. So A, B, D, A, which is a clockwise loop. Clockwise loop is selected. Now A, B, D, A, let us find the equation using Kirchhoff's voltage law. So first A to B. So you are moving from A to B in the direction of current. The potential drop across P must be taken as negative. So minus I1 P. Next B to D, there is a galvanometer of resistance G and current through the galvanometer is Ig. So the resistance, the potential drop across galvanometer is minus Ig into G, as we are moving in the direction of current from B to D. Similarly, D to A, there is a resistor of resistance R and current I2 in opposite direction. So you have to take this potential drop as positive value. So I can take plus I2 into R. This must be equal to 0. Give it as equation number 3. Similarly, select another loop, that is B, C, D, B. So B, C, D, B. So for this loop, let us apply Kirchhoff's voltage law. Now let us start from point B. So where B B to C, we are moving in the direction of current I3. So, this potential drop must be taken as a negative. So, minus I3 into Q. Next, C to D. So, we are moving in the direction opposite to the current I4S. So, this potential drop across S must be taken as positive, as we are moving in the direction opposite to current. So, it is I4S plus I4S. Next, D to B. So, we are moving opposite to the galvanometer current. So, the potential drop across galvanometer to be taken as positive. So, Ig into capital G, which is equal to 0. So, this is the equation number 4. Now, the values in the Wheatstone bridge network are adjusted such that the current through the galvanometer is always the current through the galvanometer becomes 0, means by adjusting the values of P, Q, R, S at one particular condition, you can see the galvanometer deflection showing 0. That means there is no galvanometer, means there is no current through the galvanometer. That means points B and D will be at same potential. So, in that case potential difference between them is 0. So, we know if potential difference is 0, there will be no current in this part of the circuit. So, here in that particular case we can say the bridge is balanced. That means here Ig is equal to 0 is the condition where the bridge is said to be balanced. That means the values will be adjusted such that Ig value will be 0, then we can say the Wheatstone bridge is balanced. Now, let us use this condition Ig equal to 0, that means galvanometer current equal to 0. Substitute the value in each equation that we obtained so far, then you can find the final condition for balancing the Wheatstone bridge network. Now, let us see further. Now, using that condition Ig equal to 0 in each equation, now let us from equation 1 implies you can use Ig equal to 0, where you will get I1 is equal to I3. From equation 2 you will get I2 is equal to I4. I2 is equal to I4 because Ig equal to 0, substituting everywhere in each equation. Next, from equation 3, so I minus I1 into P, minus I1 into P. So, this term becomes 0 because Ig value is 0, and then remaining I2 into R. So, plus I2 into R, that is equal to 0. So, from this I can write I1P is equal to I2 into R. Let us give this as equation number 5. Next, for the fourth equation, using Ig equal to 0, you will get this is from 3 and this is from fourth equation. From fourth equation, minus I3Q is equal to minus I4S you will get. So, substituting this value 0, taking the two other side, you will get minus I4S. So, minus minus will cancel, you will get I3Q is equal to I4 into S. This is equation number 6. Now, dividing equation 5 and 6, you will get equation 5 divided by equation 6 implies. So, equation 5 is I1P, LHS I1P, and LHS of equation 6 is I3Q, that is equal to RHS I2R divided by I4S. Now, use these values which we obtained by using Ig equal to 0, I1 is equal to I3. So, I can cancel I1 and I3, and I2 is equals to I4, I can cancel I2 and I4. Therefore, we will get P divided by Q is equal to R divided by S. This is the condition for balancing Wheatstone bridge network. So, at this particular, if a bridge is satisfied this condition, there will be no current through the galvanometer, that is the required condition. Now, if any one of these resistor values is unknown, for example, out of the 4 resistor, if one value is not given, you can find out that unknown value. Suppose if P value is unknown, P is equal to R into Q divided by S. That is what the use of Wheatstone bridge network. You can find out the unknown resistance using the Wheatstone bridge network, and you can also find out resistivity of the material of the wire using the practical form of Wheatstone bridge, that is called as meter bridge. We are going to discuss that in the next class. So, that is the use of the Wheatstone bridge network. You can find out unknown resistance and you can find out the resistivity of the material. You can check the combinations of resistors. You can verify the series and parallel combinations of resistors using Wheatstone bridge. So, there are many practical applications. So, that we are going to discuss that practical form of Wheatstone bridge in the next class, which is meter bridge. Okay, now, let us discuss some problems based on Wheatstone bridge. Remember the step by step procedure. First, we are drawing the circuit and then assigning the current direction using two rules, that is junction rule and the Kirchhoff's voltage rule, and taking the condition for balancing of Wheatstone bridge, where the values of resistors adjusted such that the current through the galvanometer is 0, then at that condition the bridge is said to be balanced. Then using that I z equal to 0, we obtained these equations, I 1 equal to I 3, I 2 is equal to I 4, then this equation 5 and 6, dividing 5 and 6 and using these values you will arrive at the final required condition. Now, let us discuss some example problems based on Wheatstone bridge network. The first problem, this is the circuit. So, 20 ohm, 10 ohm and here this is 40 ohm and R, and this is 15 ohm in the place of galvanometer, that means middle resistor. Now, the question is, if the bridge is balanced or if the current through the 15 ohm resistor, this resistor is 0, if current through 15 ohm is 0, find R value, find R value. So, this is the question. So, R value you have to find when current, there is no current through this 15 ohm resistor, that means indirectly is saying the bridge is balanced, then find out the value of R. Now, using that balancing condition we know, so P by Q is equals to R by S. So, this is P value and this is Q value, R and S. So, P by Q is equals to R by S. So, taking P divided by Q, that is 20 by 10 is equals to 40 by R. Then solving this for R, you will get 10 ones, 10 twos, then 2R is equals to 40, then R is equals to 20. Therefore, required value of resistance is 20 ohm. So, this is how you can do the problem. So, here if bridge is balanced, then what is the value of R, or if the current through this 15 ohm resistor is 0, then what is the value of R, that is unknown value of resistance. This is one method. Next, second type of problem based on Wheatstone bridge. So, this is the network. So, in this network there are total 5 resistors. So, 5 ohm and this is 15 ohm, and this value there is one unknown resistor R, and which is in series with this 12 ohm, and then this resistor is 60 ohm. So, if galvanometer current Ig is 0, find the value of R. So, here these are in series. Now, again use the balancing condition of Wheatstone bridge. So, this is a P and this is Q. So, P, so remember these two are in series, the equivalent resistance will be R plus 12, R plus 12. So, that means P, Q, Q value is R plus 12, that is P divided by Q is equal to R divided by S, where P value is 5 and Q value nothing but R plus 12. So, R plus 12, that is equal to R by S, R value 15, S value 60. So, 15 divided by 60. So, now simplifying this. So, 5 ones, 5 threes, 3 ones, 3 20s. So, here 20 is equals to R plus 12, then R is equals to 20 minus 12, that is equal to 8 ohm. So, the required value of unknown resistance is 8 ohm. So, that is the another method based on the Wheatstone bridge network. Now, let us discuss one more problem. Find the value of x when the bridge is balanced. The question is, find x when bridge is balanced. This is the question. Now, the given network is this 21 ohm resistor, and here there are two resistors, one is 8 ohm and other one is X, this is the X, and it is connected in series with 3 ohm resistor like this, and this is another resistor of 18 ohm, and then this resistor is 6 ohm. So, this is the given circuit. So, if this bridge is balanced, that means if you connect a galvanometer here, it will show 0 deflection, Ig is equal to 0. So, if this bridge is balanced, what is the value of x, or for what value of x this bridge is balanced? So, this value is 21 ohm, this is 18 ohm. So, now this is the circuit. Now, let us do this problem. So, first of all you have to simplify this part, because there are two resistors in parallel and another resistor is in series with that. So, now this value, because two resistors are in parallel, the equivalent value is 8 into x by 8 plus x, and another resistor is in series with this, so it is plus 3. So, total resistance of this part is 8x by 8 plus x plus 3 ohms total resistance. Now, P value 21 ohm, Q value is this, and R by S. So, P by Q is equal to R by S, where P value is 21 divided by Q value is 8x divided by 8 plus x plus 3 is equals to R divided by S, that is 18 divided by 6. 18 divided by 6. Now, simplifying this, 6 ones, 6 3s you can cancel, next 3 ones, 3 7s. Now, this side 1. So, now cross multiplying, 7 is equal to total term you can take that side 8x divided by 8 plus x plus 3. Now, 7 minus 3 you will get 4. So, LHS 7 minus 3 is 4, that is equals to 8x divided by 8 plus x. Now, if you simplify this you will get x value. So, 4 ones, 4 2s you can cancel. So, cross multiplying 8 plus x is equal to 2x. So, here 2x minus x is equals to 8, therefore, x value is 8 ohm. So, this is the required x value. So, for the bridge to be balanced, these are the different type of problems based on Wheatstone bridge network. So, this one is unknown resistor is in series with the one of the resistor, and here unknown resistor is in parallel with the one resistor, and again there is another resistor is in series. So, this kind of problems are important related to the Wheatstone bridge network. So, next class we are going to discuss the practical form of Wheatstone bridge, that is a meter bridge, or we can also call it as a sliding wire bridge. So, now let me tell you some other ways of drawing Wheatstone bridge. So, when you are solving problems related to the resistors combinations, so you will get a different type of circuits where there can be some Wheatstone bridge formations. If you identify that Wheatstone bridge formation in the circuit, you can easily calculate the equivalent resistance of that circuit. So, now let me tell you some other forms of drawing this Wheatstone bridge network. So, this is the actual form of Wheatstone bridge network. Galvanometer and this battery, this is his network. So, in other ways you can also draw this circuit as, so you can interchange the positions of galvanometer and battery, because the balancing condition is independent of the EMF value. So, if you see the derivation of balancing condition, we did not use the value of EMF anywhere in the equation. That means here the balancing condition of Wheatstone bridge is independent of EMF of the battery connected in the circuit. So, that is why you can interchange the positions of battery and the galvanometer. You can also draw the bridge like this by interchanging a galvanometer position and a battery position. Like this. This is another way of drawing a Wheatstone bridge network, and similarly you can draw in another form, that is third way of drawing Wheatstone bridge, like this. Here there will be a galvanometer and this is another resistor. Now, so this is also a Wheatstone bridge network. So, here this can be, this is P and this is Q and this is R and this is S. So, this is the point B and D. So, this is B and D and this is point A and C. So, just you can compare this network and this network, you can get same that is same kind of network they are. So, they are both are Wheatstone bridges. So, another way of drawing Wheatstone bridge is this is another circuit which represents Wheatstone bridge. So, here this is a point B and D, and this can be P resistor, and this is Q resistor, and this is R, and this is S resistor. So, all these are same networks which are Wheatstone bridge networks. So, if you find any one of these circuits in solving the resistors combinations, you can use the balancing condition of Wheatstone bridge, and then you can neglect this resistor. Suppose if this resistor is given any whatever may be the value of the resistor that is connected in the place of this galvanometer, if this ratio is equal, that is P by Q is equal to R by S, you can neglect this resistor and you can take the remaining resistors combination and you can simplify it further. That is what the use of Wheatstone bridge network, and that is all for today's class. In the next class we are going to discuss meter bridge and potentiometer concepts.